Hello and welcome to the Fusion Basics episode 5, where we're going to be modeling a spinning top. And today we're going to be mainly practicing again with the revolve tool. But now we're actually getting into the super fun projects. The spinning top is probably one of my favorite things to 3D model and print, whether it be just experimenting with the physics of it or just sitting there and spinning a top for 30 minutes. It's just a super fun time, especially if you 3D print this file. So you can see we have our finished model right here, and this is what we're going to be making today. And it's actually a lot, okay, in some ways it's easier than the lampshade because we just have to revolve it. There's no shell or chamfer or anything else. We're just creating a sketch and then we're revolving it. So we got to create our new design here. I'm going to save it. And we can get ready with our sketch. So I'm going to create this just on the front plane again because we're going to be revolving it around. We're going to be revolving that flat profile around. And then I'm going to start off with an 100 millimeter tall line. So we'll just go 100 millimeters. Perpendicular right there, just going up like that. And then the next thing we have to do is create a line up here. This is going to be 10 millimeters right there. And now, so we're kind of creating the center shaft, if you will. We're going to create a circle over here. I'm just going to do my best guess as to where we should put it. So this circle is essentially just going to help guide our curve for the spinning top. And then we're going to make that 20 millimeters. So remember, when you create the circle, if you just type 20 in and press enter, it'll be 20 millimeters. And then we're actually going to use a sketch dimension for one of the first times here. So if we go into the create menu in the sketch, there's this nice feature called sketch dimension. So if we click that, we can click two objects. We can click this, and then we can click our circle. And then we can actually type a measurement in. So I'm going to type 40 here. And then we can bring everything into perfect alignment. So it's going to be 40 millimeters from this line to the center of the circle. And then we're going to go from this object to this point here, and then drag it so it's going height-wise. And then we're going to define this as 30 millimeters. And then it'll bring our circle down a little bit. So now we have the general shape of things, but we're going to use another new tool now, another sketch tool, to trace the general shape of our spinning top. So in Create, there's this awesome thing called a fit point spline. So if we go into the spline menu, it's fit point spline. Otherwise, it's probably pinned up there for you. And we're going to use this spline to essentially connect. We're going to connect this. So if we click once, it adds a point, and then we can actually rotate. So I'm going to add 2 points, and then I'm going to go to the center, and then if you double tap, then it ends your spline. So you can see I have a line there, but it's intersecting weird there, and I don't really like that. So you can kind of just do it by eye, and then adjust these 2 points. If you double click a point, you can actually change the, well, if you double click a point, you can actually change the amount of angle it has. So for example, if after I'm clicking on it, if I click on it again right here, then it shows with these green little handles, and then you can configure your angle that you're going here. And then that looks pretty good, if I do say so myself. So now we're going to do the bottom, but before we do the fit point spline there, we're actually going to use a center diameter circle, because I don't like my spinning tops to have a sharp point, because if it has a sharp point, it wears down a lot over time. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a 5 millimeter circle just at the bottom here, and then we're going to drag it up until the bottom of our circle is at the bottom of our 100 millimeter line. So now we're going to connect the bottom of this circle with the bottom of this circle. So we can use a fit point spline for that, and then just get to the bottom. It'll kind of lock in there. I'm again going to use probably 2 points in the middle, and then click my third point down. I'm not going to go quite on the side here, just for the shape, but I'm going to go right here. And then double click to finish the line. And that honestly looks pretty good. I might configure it just a little bit. But by moving these points, you can kind of change it a little bit, but that looks pretty good. So we're almost done. Just hang in with me. So we're going to go into the Modify menu and fill it. And I like my spinning tops to have a little bit of a curve on the top where you hold it. So we're going to click here. So if you look, I'll repeat that again. If we go click and Modify, we actually have a fillet in our Sketch menu too, just like we do in our Solids menu, which we have been using in the past. So if we click right in the middle here, you can see that little red line shows up, and then this arrow shows up. We're going to just type 5 millimeters, and then click Enter, and then we have our spinning top right here. So we're going to press Finish Sketch, so then we have this side view profile of our spinning top. So now what we can do is we can use the Create, and then we can use Revolve. And then we want to select this profile, but we also need to select our other profiles. So we need to select inside this circle, and then we also need to select inside this circle. And then we can click our axis, and then we're going to just hover on that center line there, and then left click on it. And then, boom, we have a spinning top. And it looks pretty good to me. That's certainly a top that would be fun to play around with. So then if we click OK, we have our spinning top, and that is our finalized model. But one last thing I'm just gonna show you before we part is down here. If we go back into our Edit Sketch, I'm gonna show you one last tool. I don't usually use it a lot, but sometimes it can be helpful. So in the Modify section, there's the Trim feature, and if we hover over a line, we can actually just cut it out. So we can combine our sketch profiles in that way, so we can cut out the lines we're not using. And then if we just click Finish Sketch, then if we go into our Revolve feature and Edit feature, then it all we can select it all as just one profile there. So that's just a handy tool if you need it in the future. But make sure you save it and everything. But that is it for this video, and I hope you enjoy your spinning top.